Hello, my name is Michele, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Each firm needs a CEO, a Chief Executive Officer. Perhaps the position doesn't use that label in your company, but the work of the CEO is still needed. On the podcast today, we're going to look at the role of CEO, why we need it, and how to protect it, no matter the size of your firm. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. I want to thank you all for reaching out and letting me know how much you're enjoying these shorter educational podcast episodes. I know that we don't always have an hour to listen, but we want to gain new ideas and information as quickly as possible. And so that's what I've been trying to do to help you out. But I also enjoy having the longer discussion style podcast. And so you'll see those interspersed each month. If you have any suggestions or needs for future episodes, please email me and let me know, and we'll see what we can do to add those into our podcast lineup. All right, so let's jump into today's topic. The role of CEO has historically been seen as the highest ranking position or person in a company. That's probably what you think about when you hear that. Ultimately, the success or the failure of a company rests on the shoulders of the CEO. And I know that when we first begin our firm, our company as a solopreneur, that's not even a role that we really consider because we're so busy doing the work in the business as the technician to even think of ourselves as CEO could feel really pompous. In the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, he breaks down the three main positions in a company to be the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Traction by Gino Wickman, it separates the role of visionary and integrator, with visionary being a bit more CEO focused. And in Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, the role of Queen Bee is mentioned and is very much a CEO type position. Each of these books and methods stresses the fact that someone must be at the helm guiding the business and being an ultimate decision maker. I am also a fan of The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack, which has a more employee-led business structure. But even then, somebody has to be in charge. I know I've thrown out a lot of books here, and I love them all. I recommend them all. And there are hundreds more. But at the end of the day, every business has someone listed as the owner or maybe the CEO. And for most of us, we are that person. And from experience, I can tell you this. If I don't make note of what it means to be CEO or visionary or a queen bee in my own firm, the work of those positions can be easily forgotten, pushed aside, or seen as non-pressing. And my suspicion, based on working with many of you, is that you can do the same. With that in mind, I want to talk about 3 ways to protect the CEO position in your firm. And the reason that we're going to protect it is because it is so important. It's necessary and it leads to the growth in a company. Also, if we think about this analogy, it's kind of like having parents. Having someone who has taken responsibility for the CEO role creates safety in the workplace, just like parents create safety in the home. Imagine in a home where nobody was the parent. Maybe you've seen examples of that in real life. I know I have, and it's not pretty. So imagine a firm with nobody doing the important work of leading and guiding at the highest level. Nobody setting boundaries, nobody checking behind anything. That just leads to a company and a culture of discord, confusion, and ultimately business anarchy if it's not established and firmly maintained that there is a hierarchy and some type of management role and responsibility as the chief executive officer. And so here's what we are going to first look at. We're going to recognize the role of CEO in your firm. To even begin to protect the role, we need to recognize that the role and the position exist. And now maybe you're asking, all right, fine. So what does that mean? Well, I believe that it means making peace with the fact that while you might be doing some of the work in your day-to-day as manager and maybe even some as technician in your company, as many of us do, we wear all the hats, you're also the one responsible for guiding the company forward. And this means that you need to set aside time to consider the future, work on guiding your firm and your team, and building up your leadership skill set. Most of this work starts with how you think and the mindset you have towards leadership. What type of leader or CEO do you want to be? What type of leader does your team need? Defining this will assist you in defining the more granular role and responsibilities of CEO in your firm. But be aware, whatever you set up as the CEO role, you or whoever in that position has to do it. So take time to be thoughtful about your approach and how you want to ultimately lead and guide your team to future success. Secondly, as we're looking to protect this position, we want to identify the responsibilities of CEO in your firm. We may not all do it the same. And so once you've identified that there's this role of CEO and you've made peace with it, being you or somebody that you've appointed, we have to define what we want them to be responsible for. Often the roles and positions of everyone in a firm are crafted with care, but the role of the ultimate leader is not. It's easy to forget or to bypass because we're the ones doing it so often. And honestly, it's just not healthy. I've suggested before that we do a self-reflected evaluation of our own work each year. We may even get input from our team, but we have to have something written to measure it by. So I'm going to give you some ideas of some of the responsibilities that might show up on your CEO list. You may have some of these, all of these, and you may have even more. But here they are. Managing the overall resources of your company, being the face of your company, doing the high-level strategic decision-making and planning, setting the tone, the vision, the mission, and the culture of the organization, creating a hiring plan, ensuring major processes are in place for success, assessing risk to your firm, creating an awareness of the market landscape, scaling opportunities and industry shifts, and evaluating the work of other members of the business. Are you still with me? See how important these things are to a firm? It takes more than doing the work of the day-to-day to be successful. It takes oversight, management, planning, and making a path forward for everyone. Take some time to craft your own CEO job responsibilities for your firm. Thirdly, we want to create a structure to do the work of the CEO. Because we just created this list. We know that it's important. We recognize the role. We've got our job responsibilities, but now we have to have a structure to actually do the work. And what does that mean? Simply put, it means setting aside time to do the work on those tasks because they are so important. We do this by either saving time on our calendar for the CEO work daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you need to do. It could also mean that you do something like take your business on vacation, like I mentioned in episode 142. Some other ways that we do this work is to create processes or to delegate some of the information gathering. We can identify groups or small task forces within our companies to make suggestions. We don't have to do everything alone, but we need to be able to guide the work. What makes this the most successful when we're implementing the CEO, the depth of the CEO position, is to understand the importance of the work, have a plan for the work, and calendar the work. What I hear most often from successful business owners looking to scale is they know they need the business development time, but they don't know what to do when they schedule the time. So they've got the time blocked off, but they find themselves without a plan, falling back on doing the technician activities of the firm or doing something else. So by writing out the responsibilities of the CEO, you're actually creating a list of things to do. Every successful business that I've worked with had a successful CEO that created a structure for making decisions, planning for the future, and helping lead and guide the team members. We get to be this person in our own firm. Some of you, it might scare you to death, but once you've written it out and planned it through and understand it, I think you'll start to recognize that it actually frees you up. It does take work, but it's very satisfying for us, for our team, and at the end of the day, for our clients. Just like financial success, being a leader takes tenacity. And so we're going to have to work through this. It doesn't just all happen at once. We may each approach the role of CEO a bit differently in our firm based on our strengths, our desires, and the time we have available. But please know this, the work of a CEO is necessary, and it shouldn't be pushed aside because we don't know what to do or how to do it. My coaching is about making you a better business owner, not just a better designer or workroom specialist, or stager or anything else. I want to educate and equip you to lead your team, to have oversight of your financials, to think strategically, and to own every aspect of your business. If you're interested in more, you can check out the case studies on my website at scarletthreadconsulting.com under the freebies section. In every one of them, you will see the transformation of the business owner into a fuller acceptance of that CEO role. This transition doesn't happen by accident, and neither does your profitability. Profit is a Choice is proud to be part of the designnetwork.org, where you can discover more design media reaching creative listeners. Thanks for listening, and stay creative and business minded.